And also certainly not a shock that the Cubs named Marcus Stroman their opening day starter for Wrigley Field, be second year in a row. And, it's already been lined up that way in spring training, barring any injury, that's the way it was going to play out. Says he's excited, had some tweets go out yesterday about it. I guess my question is not, are you surprised, obviously, because I don't think anybody's surprised. What's a realistic expectation for Marcus Stroman this year? He's your opening day starter. What do you really want to see and expect to see out of a guy that goes into the season as your number one starter?
I want to see second half of last year Marcus Stroman the entire year. I think that's a fair expectation. You're one of the highest paid guys on the team. Guys going into an opt-out year. And listen, I'm a Stro guy, but the guy likes to talk. He loves to talk, and I'm not saying that he, doesn't deserve, some criticism every now and then or anything like that. Or vice versa. I'm just saying, like, you're getting paid, man, to be the guy. Mm-hmm. I was kind of hopeful that maybe Steele would be the guy, but obviously we were just talking about the other day about kind of his struggles here at the end of spring still. So it's gonna be interesting to see where the Cubs slate him in after Stroh. But going into the season, I think he's definitely someone that you can rely on. I feel good about going into the season with him. But is he a bona fide number one throughout his career? Probably really hasn't proved to be that. I think he can be a top 3 of your rotation type guy, but this is the question with the Cubs, like we've talked about all offseason. Like, yeah, they have a lot of great depth, but do they have a number one? No. Marcus Stroman is probably the closest one they have to that, so like I'm okay with him being the opening day starter. All I'm saying is that for a guy who talks a lot, for a guy who, let's be real, he's set some people off on the internet. A little polarizing. Yeah. If you're gonna talk as much as you do, man, you got to go out there and perform. Like, and again, it's an opt-out year, so this is a huge year for him if he's thinking he can actually make more money. Right. So to me, my expectation is give me second half Marcus Stroman from last year because I thought he was really good in the second half last year, and he's got to perform better against St. Louis.
I know what you're saying, but I don't want to encourage him to talk less. He just needs to understand, and I'm sure he does, that when you do talk, you open yourself up to more scrutiny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just the reality of, being more vocal. That doesn't mean anybody would want to take away anybody's right to voice their opinion on whatever they want to voice it on.
I'm not even saying that I don't like that he talks a lot. It's more of just, if you're gonna do it, you got to talk, perform.
And you're gonna be the highest paid guy. We want you to perform like
exactly
the highest paid guy.
Or people will turn on you.
Yes.
And
I'm sure he wants to perform like he did in the second half of the season too. And there's nothing. I think I'm not going to put anybody's words in anybody's mouth.
Don't put words in my mouth.
I don't. Just because he's the opening day starter doesn't necessarily mean, in my mind, that he will be the Cubs' number one starter at the end of the season.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I didn't want to put that in your mouth, but that's what I'm just saying. I think it's very possible that Steele or Wesneski or Tyone, one of those guys, could step up and be the number one starter by the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I wrote about it this morning over at allchgo.com that, the opening day starter is really just more like symbolic than anything. Yeah. Like, it doesn't mean you're going to be the best starter. It just means that, like, going into the season, you are seen as the team's number one starter. And I'd say out of everyone, Stroman earned that last year. Like, he has a track record. His second half was great.
And I said he was a starter. It was Hendricks last year.
Yeah,
Hendricks was healthy.
3 years in a row for Hendricks. So Hendricks will lose that streak. But I think maybe if he was healthy, he may end up getting the opening day start. I don't know. But
if Hendricks were healthy, I think he would be the opening day starter. I think Stroman would, again, say to Ross, he's the guy.
Hendricks.
He's the longest standing guy. Only one left from 2016. Yeah.
But as far as who's healthy right now, like, Stroman's the guy. He earned it. He just has earned it based on his track record. He's the highest paid, $25 million. I think he's owed. Russ, the resource on Fangraphs, says that's what he's owed this year. So that's, he's the highest paid pitcher on the team. Like, he should be the opening day starter. It makes sense. But like you guys are saying, like, he has to perform. Like, it's not just about opening day. It's about going out there, obviously getting the Cubs off to around the right start. But he wants to pitch 30-plus. He wants to make 30-plus starts this season. He's got to do that. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got to be good for most of
That's how he'll make more money.
Yeah, that's how he'll make more money. But that's just if the Cubs are going to compete,
for sure.
which they say they are. The rotation can't be as bad as it was in the first half last year, and Stroman is like you could tell, like there was obviously some correlation between Marcus Stroman not being healthy and not as effective in the first half, and the rotation being bad, and then Marcus Stroman being good and healthy all the second half last year, and the rotation being
moves everybody
being
back
good.
one.
So what I'm saying is for the Cubs to be competitive and to do what they want to do this year. That's going to start with Stroman, obviously on opening day, but just overall, he has to set that tone.
Right. I will say this about his first half last year. I was someone who defended him because I thought he got, short end of his stick in terms of, some bad luck, right? Because I remember he had a great start in Milwaukee against Corbin Burns last year.
Yeah.
It was either
May 1st.
Yeah, I was beginning of May. He had a great start.
7 innings, 2 hits.
Right.
Someone shut out.
And he didn't have the greatest April. And I felt like the weather had something to do with it. I felt like, just the Cubs offense in general didn't help him out. And the Cubs defense didn't help him out in some of those games either. I still remember the one against the Rays where he ended up getting rained out eventually. And he gave up so many runs because the defense didn't help him out. But again, what I'll say this, he had that start on May 1st against Brewers, and then COVID happened. He got COVID. He was out for however long.
It was 11
and then he
days.
came back too quickly and had shoulder inflammation, so then he was on the injured list for another couple weeks. And then when he was able to finally come back, he was him. So obviously you need him to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And you need him to he's just got to get into that groove. So am I expecting number one starter stuff like top 10 pitcher in baseball? No, but I am expecting just quality pitching, a guy who's going to give you innings. That's what the Cubs need more so than a guy who's going to go out there and get you 10 to 12 strikeouts, in my opinion. I just want the guy to get outs. You know what I mean? So if he can do that and he can stay on the field, then I feel like most of us will all be pretty content with what he's giving us.